I want to welcome you, Urvi, to the East Coast Fashion Summit. It's such a pleasure to have you here. We're so happy you were able to sit with us today and maybe teach some people some things.
Thank you. I'm really excited too. This opportunity came like at a very good time. I would say I'm so excited to let people know about my journey, and if I can help anyone, it would be really it would be the purpose. Yeah.
That's so great. That's so great. And you will, I promise. So let's start
Yes.
by telling everyone a little about yourself, where you've moved around, because your story is interesting. You've traveled the world, and how you got
Yeah.
into fashion retail as your specialty.
So I'm Urvi Shelat, and I was born in India, and then like fashion took me places, but it really started early due to traveling, I would say, because my parents were really these people who would take us, their kids, to travel, so we were really lucky in that case. So I think when I would travel, I would really get influenced by the industry of fashion because India at that time was very not really developing with its retail space. So when I would travel abroad, I was like majorly influenced by how things were there, like how the stores would operate, how their aesthetics were, how how everything was so glamorous and attractive, and it just looked like a magical place to be. So that's how fashion influenced me really. So when I would come back home, then I would be so encouraged and like determined to like go through books or stuff like find out, do my own research about what is fashion, like what happens in that industry. So yeah, that was majorly what like I started my interest in fashion, and then I went on reading and things like that. It was way before the internet became a thing, so I used to read books, and my mom encouraged me to read the news and stuff like that. So I came through this book called A Girl Named Indie. I remember this particularly because it's about fashion journalism. It's obviously fiction. It was a girl who was interested in fashion journalism, and she traveled from U.S. to Paris, and she used to work for an editor or something. So I was like, wow, this is so cool. Someone deciding, what goes on the runways and what's like the front row of fashion is so interesting. So I was like, I think I want to do that. And then it all came through like, various things like, oh, should I do fashion designing or should I do, there were these limited options. People would think only designing is something in fashion, but I think I would like to mention I'm still learning about the opportunities that are in fashion, and they are like endless. They're like an ocean. They're plethora of them. If you want to be designing, if you're so creative, do that. If you want to be like styling, you can do that. If you want to decide, you want to work for a brand and you can sell, do that. Be in the retail industry. So like there's a lot to do, and now everything is transferring digital as well. So there's just so many options. You can start writing about fashion if you don't want to like put yourself out there. People are there to read, people are there to see you. There are people who want to consume every sort of information that's out there. So yeah, you could be one of them. So there are a lot of things happening in fashion, and now especially with like sustainability being a thing, inclusivity being a thing, diversity being a thing. It's a lot. Everybody can choose their niche and can work for it. So I really think fashion has a lot of opportunities.
I love that you brought that up. There's so many different roads you can
Yeah.
take that people have no idea about. So it
Yes.
doesn't matter what your interests are. In fact, you can work all kinds of places in the fashion
Yes.
industry. It's a really wild ride.
Yes.
What led you to choose fashion retail as your career?
So just when I saw that, just being a designer is not a thing, I was like, okay, there can be different options, but to pursue it was a different journey altogether. My parents were a little more traditional when it came to me pursuing fashion as a full-time career option. They were not really sure if what I'm doing is going to be right for my future. They had their own concerns. And I came from India, which was like a background of where people want to be very disciplined, and fashion was known for its boldness. So my parents were really not that interested in me doing something that way. So I chose marketing first. then I proved it to them that I was so good at it and everything. And then I went on to do like fashion retailing in UK, which is like the capital of fashion. Like Oxford Street and Regent Street, a mecca of fashion. So I wanted to be there. And while I was just doing my master's and understanding such, because I was from a different country, a different background. So it was just a lot of, I was thrown into like a fashion pool. So it was a lot for me to take it in. So I just took it a step higher by applying for a part-time opportunity in this brand. And then I was like, wow, it felt good. I was naturally good at sales. So I was like, wow, this is a great opportunity. And then I became a sales advisor. And then I would like implement my fashion knowledge with my customers. I would just not like push them, like, here you go, buy this. No, that's not the way. Like, I was more into the product. Like, I was loving it. I was loving what I was doing. And I think eventually it was seen in my work. That's why it was appreciated. And then I could become a stylist, and then I could become a visual merchandiser. So, as you grow, I said, I found out these opportunities only as I grew. And eventually I see someday working with a big brand as a buyer, deciding what is going to come in their next collection. I think I want to be in that place. And there's no way like anything could stop you if you really, know what you're doing, or like try to do a research or dream about it and put your thoughts out there. I'm sure you'll get through it. So yeah, that's why I chose fashion retail. I thought it was really nice. It suited me. And so it will work differently with other people, For someone, styling is their passion. For someone, designing is their passion. So, pursue what you really like, and you'll eventually figure out your way there.
I love how you just said, just throw yourself in. You go to a new country, start a new career, and you just throw yourself in there. And that's really the best way to learn and grow.
It is.
Hope
Yes.
you're listening. Just go for it. Just go for it.
Yes.
Where does all your self-drive come from? Sounds like maybe your parents.
Yes. So I really want, yeah, you can complete.
Oh no, I just was saying, just tell us a little bit about that and how your drive grew inside.
Okay. So I think I took a really lot of efforts to like make my parents like fashion as an industry and as what I was doing. So, and I think it was really easy to convince them because I'm their daughter and they were like really ready to like understand me. So it was easy. But then it also came with like, just these shopping trips. Like there would be every weekend. People would do different things of my age, but I would take my mom and go to the mall, the nearest mall, just to look at their new collection. Maybe not even bring back all those things home, like not shop a lot, but shop a little, but look a lot. Like I was just like so fascinated by what came new in the market. Why is this style something now? And like who decides these things? Like who are these people who decide them? So it was so intriguing. It was so like it came really early to me. And then in all these movies as well, like the movie culture and everything, like they influenced highly by fashion. So I was like just so passionate. And then I started by just doing like styling in front of my sister, in front of the mirror. And she would go and tell her friends, you know what, like this is the trend because my sister is doing it. And I was like, okay, yeah, you guys come and follow me. Like, and there was no Instagram and no stuff like that. But then they would see these people who would be like, oh, so where did you go shop? So, and then they would go there and shop. So I was like, okay, this is great. I think it is positive. I was doing something and I was getting response to it. So that kept me encouraged, in doing what I was doing. So that self-drive is just getting stronger and stronger. Like I'm so motivated to put myself out there and actually pursue a career in fashion. It came to that point that I wouldn't understand anything else. Like, like science? No, I don't know what science is. Well, what do people do in science? Because I was so passionate towards fashion that by the time it came to choose my career, there was no other option because I had already put myself out there in it so much. I had done so much research that I felt that it would be a waste if I did not act on it. So I think that's where my self-drive came from.
It sounds like you have such a deep curiosity, which is so great. That curiosity
Yes.
can carry you to learn so much. And I love the solidarity from your sister. Shout out, because that's a big deal. And when you start
Yes.
seeing that you're actually influencing anyone, it
Yes.
feel like, okay, I can do this.
Do it. Yes.
See those people around you as well.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's a great story. I'm going to switch it a little bit and just ask how COVID, because I know it has affected everyone on the planet. I'm just wondering how it has affected you and how you do business now and kind of your career path.
Definitely. So COVID is so uncertain, like no one expected it. And it was, but I think somewhere when the whole world is just moving so fast forward, like it was moving in that fast forward button on the remote control, like so fast. Everything was changing so fast. The technologies, the fashion as well. Like the way I think COVID, in a way, impacted positively and negatively. Like it stopped everything, but only for people to realize what they were doing wrong and what can be paused and what actually is unnecessary and how it could be changed. But it also influenced negatively when like everybody around the world were losing jobs. And I was one of them. In March, I was impacted and I had again moved to a new country from India to Canada.
Mhm.
And I was so like I was in a position where I didn't know if I had to go back to India, like what is gonna happen to me? Because if you don't have a career, let's face it, you don't have money. And then how are you gonna live? Even if you want to just live, how are you gonna live? So I lost my job, but then that was temporary. And then, again, things got back a bit to normal. So I got my job back and everything. But so I think it definitely made me realize that if if you were looking to do something like later in life, don't wait for that later. Do it now. Who would have ever thought COVID could have paused them? Like so like that, anything natural could come in your life and it could pause your work and your determination and your cause. So if you want to do something and you know that's right, do it now.
Yeah.
So I think that's impacted me in a very positive way. And a few things that I had planned for like later in life, I'm doing it now because I'm like, this is the time. So if I can't do it now, I don't think I would be able to do it ever.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's so true. It gave us a lot of perspective, a lot
yes, it did.
of, and no more waiting around.
No, yes.
Love that answer. How would someone with your knowledge and curiosity in the field really define fashion?
I think fashion is an art.
Yeah.
It is a very like how people can design garments. How do you decide like what goes where? And like even the smallest button placed somewhere could change the whole game of how things look. So there's a lot of process going into from like designing, from strategizing, designing, making your textiles and dyeing, and so much goes into it. So I feel it's an art. I think it's just perceived that way for me.
Yeah, I agree. It's such an art
Yeah.
form and it's personal.
Yes, it is personal.
Um, what is your absolute? I know you probably have a long list, but what's kind of your favorite part of being in the fashion industry?
Um, I think that you hold a certain power to influence people, whether it is for them buying something you suggested or, sharing your ideas, and people think over it, I'm talking to you right now, but there might be something that I heard from you and I'm influenced, and you heard something from me and you're influenced. So I think that whole power of you having a say in that such a huge industry and people actually getting influenced is my favorite thing. I think I can be, I can give happiness to people and they will get influenced by it. So I think, yeah, that's my favorite part.
It's pretty cool. Like you can at any moment, just you never know who's
Yes,
expecting. Yeah, I agree.
true.
I understand that. What would you say is your greatest source of inspiration, and how do you kind of begin your process to decide, what do I want people to be influenced by? What do I want to tell people? What do I want my voice to be today?
Uh, it's actually a lot, but I think traveling is my inspiration. When I find places that like, suddenly I relate to, and I've never even seen that in the whole of my life, but I relate it to like none other, not even my home city. So I think traveling inspires me. And then I really start like thinking that what I should put out there, and then I make a whole mood board of like what things are and like how my thoughts are getting creative, or like how I want to channelize those thoughts into what I'm doing. That's my work. So yeah, for me, it's definitely like traveling. I
Yeah.
think if I want to clear my head, if I want to even like, if I had a bad day, or if I am just stuck in the rut of the daily routine, if I really want to break myself free from that, I think just going out and even taking the fresh air, for me, that's great. So traveling is really important to me.
Yeah. That's pretty soon. Let's hope we can get back into that.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm missing it. I'm sure a lot of people are missing it.
Yeah, exactly. How
Yes.
how much hustle? How much hustle do you have to have? Like, how do you get clients to come to you and trust you and kind of give people an idea of this is a big job. This
Yes.
isn't this doesn't just come to you. This is a lot of work. So I want people to understand if they're looking to get into this industry, some of the hustle and hard work that you have to deal with.
I think it's in every industry, but particularly to fashion, it is about definitely your knowledge. Because nowadays, because everything is out there digitally, it's accessed in your mobile phones. It's not that only the limited people have the knowledge of fashion. It is not just people who work in the magazines or previously in the brand, but now it's everyone. Everyone out there has access to these information. So I think really update yourself, because fashion industry is constantly changing. Like every brand is trying to be sustainable now. Everything is going digital now. Fashion shows are going digital. So I think it's really important to update yourself with what's happening in that industry, and but don't get so lost in the whole thing, because it's too huge. I know, but choose your niche, choose what you like and what you could develop on, choose where your ideas are, and that's how you can formulate your way through. And the hustle is really like to get up and charge yourself like a battery of the phone like every day, because anything you do, you need that hustle. And just trust yourself, because you know your intentions the best. Nobody else knows it. So trust yourself. Like there would be days that you won't have clients, but so what? And there would be days it's so rewarding when you actually make someone happy and you have like five, six people on the same day, and then you're like, wow. And they love it. They just want you. They want your opinion. That's really, those days actually make up for the other days. And that's why I think hustling is really important. Trust yourself, develop your skills, and that's what it is.
That's right. Be ready, be prepared, be
Yes,
open, and you're right. Trust yourself. That's so, so
yes,
vital because you're going to get knocked
yes,
around a lot in this industry. So you have to know.
yes, a lot. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you've been doing this for a while now, and I'm just wondering, do you have a story that you wouldn't mind sharing about a time where you really felt, yes, I'm on the right path and I'm doing the right thing, and finally, kind of, I'm here.
Yeah. Sure. So when I just started, it was so uncertain, and I was all over the place, trying to be like, oh, I want to be this today, I want to be this, and then it was just so confusing. But then I think really just focusing on, instead of like everything that you can do, something that's the best that you can do, and I just did that. So when I was doing my master's, and then I just had to do my final project, and it could be done from anywhere. I had no more the requirement to go to the university. So I was in Manchester and I moved to London. I think that's the best choice I made, because London is the fashion capital. It is where everything is. So if I wanted my best view, it would be from there. And then I started working with this brand called Ted Baker, and it is a British. I wouldn't say high street. It's a little more than the high street, but it's not as luxury as Prada or something. But it's there. So yes, it is a very good brand, and their aesthetics and their design and everything was what I related to. So every day when I would go to work there, I used to feel great about myself. I used to feel like I think everybody would want this. Everybody who's in the fashion industry, especially from India, or like, because I was from India, right? So all my people would want this. They would want to wake up in London and travel to Oxford Street to have the best job of their life. So I think that was the best decision I made, to move country, to actually take in so much information and channelizing it positively and working towards it was the best decision.
Yeah, that sounds so fabulous. Like, what a perfect story. Thank you for
Yes,
sharing that. That's really,
no problem.
um, I, so you've been everywhere. So how do you
Yes,
now stay up to date? Like, what do you do now? Kind of, I know you can't really travel right now. So what do you
yes.
do to kind of stay up to date on fashion and what's happening and kind of keep your ear to the pulse of things throughout this?
Um, yes. So I talk to people around who are in the same industry, maybe my colleagues, to see what they are doing, constantly check in with them. And obviously the digital source, like, because of pandemic and all the stores and everything being shut, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah. So everything being shut, it was like all the information was available digitally. So I would access those. I would go on this portal called Business of Fashion and read their articles about what's happening around. And it would be about everything. And then there is something else called the Fashion Network. So there's like a lot of information out there, and that's how I would do it during COVID. I would talk even to my clients to see what their perspective is. Like, have they stopped buying? Have they stopped shopping right now? What are they doing? And there was a time, honestly, because people were taking that the break they got due to COVID, which they would have never got otherwise, to spend time with their family, and which is great. Reconnecting with your people is great, and that time I don't think the shopping occurs in your mind, and that's great. You shouldn't, but then that I think has caused the whole this new fashion um environment for dressing up at home. People have taken it up notch with their casual dressing. Like, now the brands who were actually selling formal wear are transitioning into selling casuals. So it's another way this industry has taken a step ahead. Like, fashion is changing. It's no more just accessed by the elite. It's there for everybody, and that's great about it. So I think, yes, that's how I kept myself updated, reading and also creating a few things. Like, the TikTok started trending, so people had their wardrobe and they didn't know what to do, so they were just putting on for TikTok videos. So I think it's a great way. People were entertaining themselves and their friends. I think it's a great way.
I love that. And everything's so much more accessible now than it was
Yes,
pre-COVID.
yes,
Everyone is more accessible now. So
yes,
and I kind of, I loved it too. It's kind of the good side of what has happened through COVID.
exactly. Yes.
Um, Maybe can you tell us something about your background that people would have no idea about, or maybe be really surprised to hear?
Uh, you know, although I said, and it looks like I have achieved so much, and it is such a great thing. I think I have my own disappointments with myself, because um, I have not been able to meet the goals I set for myself maybe 5 years back. And that's also because things that happen in your personal life, which you don't discuss with everybody, because not everybody wants to know the negative side of it. But I would say that with the positive comes negative. It's a balance. It's never like only the positives or only the negatives. So if you think that something bad's happening in your life, still trust for the good to happen.
Yeah.
I believe that. Like, even if I lose a job, or if I don't get through an interview, or if I'm moving, like, I was moving countries with my husband. It was not easy. And due to my marriage, I had to take a break in my career, which kept me like a year behind in my life, which is not easy. So I think these are the things people wouldn't know about me, and they'll be surprised, because I am someone who is always happy, because I want to carry that vibe to when I want to meet people, my clients or work. I want to make everybody happy, but that's not always it. Like, so if behind all this glamorous life, there is a real person that I am, and I have the other side as well, where I have been failed, where I had disappointments, where I had to convince my parents that fashion is the right choice. So, and I came from a family, I would say, that where they did not my parents, but my husband's parents, who did not expect me to work. So there was my own struggle to come up and say that, no, I'm going to be someone who is working because that's who I am. That's how I visioned my life. So yeah, all these are like very surprising things, but then that's what made me, and I wouldn't have it any other way because they've kind of made me stronger.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And we're always so used to just showing our shiny bits, right?
Yes,
It's
yes,
always it's and we're always our worst critics. No one's
yes,
harder on us than we are on ourselves.
that's true. That's absolutely true.
It's very hard to be patient with yourself. So like I always tell people, treat yourself more like you would treat your friend and give yourself that advice because you're always nicer to your friend than you are.
Friends, yes.
Um, what do you see becoming kind of huge for the next phase of retail fashion? Because I think things are really at a major shift right now, and I'm wondering
Yes.
what you think that shift is going to look like on the other side.
I think with what I've been reading and the industry I'm working with, I really feel like retail is going to take up a notch, and reselling is going to become the real thing,
Yeah.
because I think everybody, even like the biggest people who have so much income to just, buy things, or like people who are hard working for their next bag or next car or whatever, they're gonna be more considerate towards buying something that was previously owned
Mhm.
rather than buying a new thing and wasting that, due to the whole global warming and sustainability. And COVID has made you realize like all those bags and shoes and everything in your wardrobe, where are you gonna wear them and go? Like, and this is not temporary. This is here to stay for quite long. It created a whole change, and I think it's here to stay.
Yeah.
And definitely in terms of, even if there's just not reselling and there's retail in general, it's all going to be like digitalized.
Yeah.
Everything is anyways like, the job opportunities for people who can do digital media has increased like by 100%.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. If the right people are listening, and if they want to make a career in fashion, please up your game by learning some digital skills. Like, it will come so handy, and you can do really great in that.
Yeah, I agree. That's some great advice, and I hope everyone's
Yes.
listening to that because that's not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's not going anywhere. That's here to stay.
And I feel like remember when thrifting used to be kind of faux pas, and now it's like it's so cool to do. So
Cool. Exactly. Exactly.
that too, sustainability, reuse our stuff instead of wasting.
Yeah.
People are just
Yeah.
mindful. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Is there an area of fashion that you have not worked in yet that I know you touched on it a bit, but that you would like to possibly work in the future?
Mm, I think yes, like, so fashion and technology, I think, is not the area I've really worked in, but I think I'm willing to take up a notch and actually experiment that, because as I said, retail is changing, and technology is playing a vital role in it. So I think I don't want to be behind. So I want to go there and experiment that as well.
You're going to grab on and go.
Yes. And I don't have all the skills, honestly. I'm learning as well. Like, so I took up few courses due to the pandemic. There were so many platforms like Udemy and Coursera and everything. They're offering these free online courses for people to help them out, to educate themselves. And I think this is the best way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Take advantage of that. That's out there
Yes.
now. Absolutely.
Yes.
Uh, what would you say to people that are just starting into the fashion industry and they just want to know, where do I start? Like, I don't really know what I want to do in this industry. What would you suggest that they start to look at to see, where should I start to plant this seed?
I think, planning could be a very tedious process. It could be very time consuming. So I would say plan a little, but act more.
Yes.
Plan a little and act more. And I think that's really the idea, because once you just plan a little and act on it, you would know. And you could even use the method of, deducting, like deductive approach. Try something, and if that does not work for you, you learned something that did not work for you, so you know what can work for you. Then your options limit themselves. So that's a good way to find out. If you just think you have so many options, try one option,
Yeah.
and if that works for you, great. If it did not work for you, there are other options, so you can do that. So I would really say, do not utilize all your time in just planning. Plan a little and act more, and I think that's a very good combination.
Yeah, that's actually so smart because
Yes.
you can get lost thinking too much and then never really
Yes.
think. So yeah,
Yes.
little, but then really throw yourself out there and see what
Yeah.
you find that you enjoy. Yeah,
Yeah.
like that answer. That's really great. Many gems. The industry itself is very demanding, but
Yes.
what kind of things do you do? Some tips and tricks to like keep yourself from getting overwhelmed or overly stressed.
Um, I think when I see someone who I started my career with, like my colleagues in the same level or people who studied with me, and if I see that, it's they're doing something really great and like they're progressive, and if that's giving me anxiety or something, I don't question my skills, because I know they're there. I just maybe I'm slow, but that's fine. Who am I measuring my success with? I think everybody has their own time to succeed in life. It can never be comparable to someone's age, or it does not limit them to that. I might get success like when I'm 20, and then someone else can get their success when they're 30. It's really no measurable thing. But I think when you're caught in that feeling, what I do is I either like shop or I watch a very good film and have the best coffee on this earth. Like I do something like that, and that makes me feel so good about myself automatically. And that feeling, I think, is amazing. So yeah, when you're caught and when you really are like struggling with what you're doing, and if you don't know if it's the right thing, give yourself a break. Because not always being productive is the thing. You need a break. That's your mind's way of telling you that you need a break. Take a break. So yeah, just do that.
Yeah, that's perfect. I love good coffee too. Oh,
Yes.
yeah. When was it time, or have you had an experience where you felt you were really challenged, but you overcame it, and that feeling you get when you really faced something that was really difficult, but then you really overcame it. So
Yeah.
maybe speak on how you forced yourself to overcome that difficulty.
Yeah. It was in my recent role when I was a visual merchandiser, and that was a new role when I started it. It was a new role, like, and I had done nothing like that before, and there was a whole training involved, and the training was so intensive that one day I actually broke down, and I was like, no, this is not for me. I'm not going to go ahead with this. But then I was like, if I don't do this, what am I going to do? Because I don't know anything else. I know only fashion, and this is my role right now. I chose it. No one really forced me to do it. So I was just like trying to trace my steps back as to what I did not understand and how I was doing it wrong. And maybe if I spoke to someone who has been doing this for years, could give me their insights on how they do it. So sometimes, understanding that you don't know everything and it's okay, you can ask for help, and someone will be there to guide you because they are experienced in that field. Does not really make you small or someone who something like you don't know anything. No, you know things, but maybe you're not doing it the right way. And sometimes the fresh perspective is what you're looking at. So an outsider can give you a better perspective than you yourself, because you have been dealing with it, but you're not getting it. So I really think if you can talk to someone from that field and get that advice that you need to boost yourself up and come out of that challenge. I think that's the best thing.
Yeah, that's great. Don't be too hard on yourself and don't be scared to ask.
Yes, don't we?
Yeah, because people are, and I find that people think that they're so terrified to ask a question, but you'll find
Yes,
9 times out of 10, everyone's okay with answering your question.
yes.
So don't
And
be,
sometimes you're doing good by asking that question for 100 others who would never ask that question, but they want that answer.
exactly. Yeah, that's so true too. You're an advocate for others as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
What's a piece of advice or a great tip you would tell someone in this industry to make sure they absolutely avoid? Like, do not do this.
Hmm. Do not doubt yourself.
Yeah,
Even if you think that, after you spend maybe 2 years in this industry or 5 years in this industry, and you think that this industry is not for you. Because when I joined fashion, retail was everything. Like people were investing in their store and the decoration in the store and the aesthetic of the store, like so much. They were spending so much over it. And now everything's become digital. So if I don't like the way industry is shaping, and if I think that's not for me, that's not for me, and there's no one who's going to be harsh about it. I could choose my different way and maybe um, just go ahead with my life. It doesn't work out for me, maybe, or I enjoyed my journey till here and I don't want to take it further. That's fine. So I think it should be really open-minded. You should be really open-minded because nobody would have even predicted COVID, but
no,
it happened, right? So changes are constant. So you either adapting to the change or taking your own direction from that change is totally your call. So
yeah,
make yourself give yourself the power to make that decision for yourself. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
right. Yeah, I agree. I agree. A lot of people doubt themselves, and it's just, it doesn't serve them. It doesn't,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Is there a question that you've always wished someone would ask you about your expertise, but they never have, that you'd like to maybe share with us today?
Yes, I think so. It is that, has I don't know if anyone's wondered, like whatever display in a store is done so strategically. It's not just there out there. It's not just placed like, okay, you can fit it, this t-shirt can go here. No, it's not like that. There's a whole lot of analysis that's been gone through, and so many reports have been made from the past years and the experiences of that store operating that's been derived from that as to how the seasonality is going to work in store, what kind of outfits are going to be placed in the first area, and then going ahead, like how it's placed. I think that's something, if someone would have asked me about store operations, that's the question no one's ever asked me, because there's a lot that goes beyond like just selling in that store.
Yeah.
It's a lot of things happening.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know. Honestly, that's really cool because I wouldn't even think like there's so much research and
Yes,
education around how to place everything, where to place everything, and you
place, yes,
have to work or no one's coming in. So it's actually a really big deal. It's your
yes,
passion.
yes,
Yeah,
definitely, yes.
that's really
And brands take a lot of initiative to do that.
yeah,
So when someone, and it's only for the customer to walk in. So
yeah,
they don't even realize that so much effort has been put through for them to actually just walk into the store. So I think that's something I would really want to shout out and educate people about, because there's a lot happening and it'll be great for people to know that, it's been taken a lot of effort to do that.
a lot of thought and effort is put into this. Yeah, that's
Yes,
great. Thank you. Um, so here's a little scenario. You
yes.
and you get to keep all of your knowledge, but you now are planted in a place you've never been before. You don't know anyone and you have no network, no resources, nothing. What's the first thing you do to start to rebuild this career?
I think I would now go to the digital media with all the ideas I have and the experience I have. And if I'm in a place where I really have no connections, no contacts whatsoever, no one knows me and what I've done, I'm going to resort to social media,
Yeah.
because that way I would be like there, and people who relate to my content or relate to what I do can be there for me. And that's how I could develop my contacts.
Yeah, that's perfect. Like network, get to know who's around you, and just dive into
Yeah.
the digital space that's definitely growing. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Urvi, for being with
So
us.
thank you.
It was fantastic. People are going to get a lot of value out of the things you said today. And I'm so
I
grateful.
would be glad. I would be glad to add this whole informative session for a lot of people out there.
It's awesome. We appreciate it so much. And thank you to everyone that watched.
My pleasure.
Thank you for joining us on the East
Thank
Coast.
you.
Have a great day. Take care.
You too. Yes. Bye bye.